This Veterans Day, venture firm J2 is announcing a $250 million fund. J2 invests in companies at the intersection of consumer and defense technology. And joining us right now is J2's co-founder and managing partner, Alex Harstrick. Alex happens to be a veteran himself. And Alex, on this Veterans Day, first of all, thank you for your service. I thought maybe you could just remind folks what it is that you've done. You started actually as a healthcare consultant and then a venture capitalist, but you took a break to go enroll in the Army Reserve to get signed up. And then you did tours of duty in both Iraq and Afghanistan. So what kind of brought you on this entire process to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you very much, Becky. Thank you for having me on the show. It felt like the right day to announce our $250 million fund. I'm actually lived in the city, went to Columbia undergrad, was a healthcare consultant, and then was actually a healthcare venture capitalist at Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I was very fortunate. The fund did very well and had this sort of money isn't everything realization. And an observation is it feels odd to me that military service is not something that's more common, to be honest with you. And so you take the 6 train all the way up, you go to the South Bronx, and that's where I enlisted. And then I went through officer candidate school at Fort Benning, intelligence school, and then was fortunate to serve in a special operations joint task force in Afghanistan and Iraq. And that was actually the foundation and that experience that led me to found J2 Ventures, mostly because defense tech is kind of the word du jour right now. But there were so many things that the military was lagging behind. Healthcare is a good example of it, one of which is a wonderful product that's on Andrew Ross Sorkin's finger right now, Oura Ring. We have, previous to Oura, almost no mechanism by which we could, in real time, monitor how soldiers were feeling, readiness. If you think about the fact that somebody could fly a $30 million aircraft, and the only rule was 12 hours bottle to throttle, as in when they last drank, to launching that aircraft, with no other insight into their personal health. These are the kind of products that are fundamentally commercial that we need to get into the hands of the warfighter.
And the military is now using Oura Rings, and I don't know for how long or in how deep of a capacity, but they're doing it to figure out if if anybody's sick before you send them in.
That's right. A very long capacity. It actually began in COVID. Yeah. So if you think about the fact that the only time in U.S. history we have lost an aircraft carrier was during COVID, because somebody got sick and got everybody else sick. So you're in the middle of an aircraft carrier, you have no idea that you're carrying this influenza-like illness, everybody else gets it. If you think our enemies are not watching that and figuring out different mechanisms by which they can harm the United States, I appreciate that myopic worldview that might be held by some, but the bigger insight was traditional defense suppliers had no mechanism by which we could stop this. And if you look at everything coming out of the White House right now, I think the market is actually overcorrected. We're trying to find new defense firms, new weapons. The reality is we need to get commercial technologies into the hands of the Department of Defense, Department of War. That is what is going to help America.
So Oura is one of your investments. Another is a prosthetics company, Aether. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, well, they're in Poland. And Poland is right next to Ukraine. So they've had a lot of practice in bringing their prosthetic hand into the hands of people, into the arms of people that have come out of the war in Ukraine. And the more interesting aspect of that is, as a result of deploying the hand where it was, you have some of the largest electromyography databases in the world. So for all of these robots and whatever that are going to help you fold your laundry, most of that information is being fed by a company that's helping people that have lost limbs in combat. And that is the kind of symbiotic value that we're seeking at J2.
Solon, so that company is feeding other people who are making robots are using their technology? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, that's right.
In what way?
Think about this, Andrew. When you pick up the coffee next to you,
right,
you're not looking at it, but you know not to crush that coffee cup.
Right.
That is a very difficult physics problem. Your hand has been trained over years and years of picking up paper to know that you hold it like this, not like this.
No, I guess what I'm asking is, so like the Optimus robot that Elon Musk is making.
Yeah.
You're saying, is he using your technology? Who's using that technology?
He's not yet, but he should.
Okay.
But a lot of other companies that are building Optimus-like robot companies will be using the electromyography database that's being fed from this company.
Because to create the best prosthetic, you have to have all of those very same things that you would need for robotics?
It's a huge data set that people aren't really touching right now. And so another company that we invested in was a spin out from Google, formerly known as Project Loon. This was, Google has the best business model, previously best business model in the world. Google AdWords, 99% gross margin. The only limitation to how you spread that product was the amount of people that had the internet. So Google made more internet through something called Project Loon, which is three things. It was a cool weather balloon. It was a free space optics device. It was a software-defined network. That company was housed at one point, just shelved. Google didn't know what to do with it. And this was back when Google didn't want to work with the military. So I worked with the founder of Excel, co-founder of Excel, Arthur Patterson. We spun the company out of Google, and that is now a standalone company called Illyria. And Illyria is our answer to command and control in places like Taiwan, Ukraine, places where the internet can be shut off at any time through terrestrial networks, and Illyria can create resilient internet on the back of that. So another company, Code Metal, was a former aerospace engineer at MIT. They now make code translation software. We have all of these companies that are sitting, that have a bunch of old languages that cannot be used, and they're all defense contractors. Code Metal is the Rosetta Stone that turns those companies into the AI languages of current. So everything that should have been mothballed can now be relevant again thanks to Code Metal, and they're deployed on just about every major platform, and if not, they will be.